Okay. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go. We are out of recess. Call the Plan Commission to order. March 27, 2018. Notice has been duly posted. Roll call.
Mayor Joel Chilson,
Present.
Jim Benash. Here. Jared Holter.
Here.
Jan Brock. Paul Gleason. Knut Timpty excused. Craig Breitsprecher. Present. Stephen Knott.
There it is. Okay, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Second?
Motion made by Craig, seconded by Jim, to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Public input. Anyone wishing to give public input, please step to the podium, give us your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ron Jertson. I live at 1222 County Road, PH. I've been asked to come and speak before the Plan Commission on regards to the expansion at the Bronson property. I've had numerous contacts with constituents throughout yesterday and today.
Excuse me, Alderman, would you, yeah, thank you.
I've had numerous contacts with constituents right up to the point of being at the meeting tonight. The concerns are well noted. We have a lot of traffic coming out of, I guess it would be the PetSmart area and Quick Trip area. They're a tobacco outlet store. And what the concerns are is that that portion of the street right now, several times a day, the traffic is so condensed in there that we're piling up many fender benders in there. There is not a day where we go through where there's not debris from a crash. They're all low speeds, but there's a crash there several times a week. We come back into Common Council. If this would go to Common Council, I'll have those numbers. My numbers of people that I talked to today, I would ask that we would just bring it to the council. That being said, I want the council to also know that I am pro-business. That particular business down there, I think, may have been a bad fit. Just the way the real estate hits along with those two intersections, it's a very dangerous situation, and that's just going to be exasperated if we expand it. Thank you.
Okay. May I ask, Ron, would you sign in, please? May I ask how many people are planning on speaking tonight? Okay. If you could sign in after, you can do it after you speak, just so we have a record for the transcriptionist, okay? So anyone, whoever's next, please.
I'm Marcia Horvath. I live at 1205 County Road, PH, which is right across the road from where Bronston Chiropractic wants to expand.
Okay.
And we moved into that house. There was a house across the street and a few small businesses on the corner, a real nice residential area. Then the house across the street was torn down and a parking lot was put in. But they kind of respected that it was a residential area and put in some landscaping in the front, not too bad. But that's what we look out of our front window. And now they want to change it to a business zoning. And if that's approved, we're going to be looking at the back alley of businesses with delivery trucks coming in and out right in front of our house every day. Not a very pleasant view. And the construction itself is going to be noisy and dusty. The heavy trucks and with the construction materials will deteriorate the road. And once the proposed addition is built, there will be increased traffic and noise, as has already, the traffic part is going to be really tricky. It seems that the commercial area across the street is encroaching on our residential neighborhood piece by piece and disrupting the area. And who knows what sort of businesses will occupy these buildings as time moves forward with the expanded land use of the B1 zoning. There's a lot of different kinds of businesses that could go in that don't seem appropriate for a residential area. The house we live in is where we're planning to spend our remaining years. We don't want to move again, but if we do, our house will be worth less with a delivery access alley and a bad view right across the street. And my hope is that the rezoning request will not be approved and that our residential neighborhood can be maintained.
Thank you. I'm not even going to call, I'll just let them come up.
Good evening. My name's John Hayes, N5415 Abbey Road. And myself and two other people are going to address you in sequence about the annexation of Abbey Road. It's agenda number 9 by Quick Trip. Let me start off by thanking you all for taking the time to address our concerns and to hopefully understand why we're going to be here. About 3 years ago, the city of Onalaska, the town of Onalaska, and the village of Holmen signed a mutually agreed on boundary agreement that was signed in good faith. The agreement identified some of the parcels that were labeled exempt zones. Those zones were to remain in effect for 10 years. No one could annex those areas in those 10 years without the unanimous consent of all the property owners. Quick Trip filed for annexation of Abbey Road through a Wisconsin Administrative Statute 66.0127, parenthesis 2. They filed this request to access sewer and water from the city of Onalaska, which is 1/2 mile south of the Quick Trip store number 494 at the corner of Commerce and County Trunk OT. The need for sewer and water is to accommodate a planned car wash and removal over their holding tanks that require frequent pumping, a costly procedure. Store 94 is one of the top performers in their whole organization. Well, 10 days ago, I got a call telling me about this annexation, and I was actually quite upset. I couldn't believe how this could have happened when we were thinking that we were in this period of 10 years of being in an exempt zone. And then I was curious, and I started asking more questions. And then we ask ourselves, how can we requests like this be a current talking point for us due to the final decision that took place in 2013. We understand a good business decision, but looking thoroughly at ways that all parties can agree on. We have options to value each other's decisions. We all have an existing agreement in place. The request for Quick Trip is for a parcel that is within this exempt zone. Does the city of Onalaska have any intention of opening Abbey Road to through traffic for this purpose? If so, there is a large opposition from the residents of Strawberry Commons to contend this, as there was in 2013 when 92 of our fellow residents signed a petition that opposed this being the road open and had it closed permanently. The folks speaking after me will detail some of our concerns. While listening, please consider all of our detailed information given in this crucial for our objections. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Robert Wilson. I live at N5452 Abbey Road. Please allow me to elaborate on some of the detailed concerns that we have. Currently, we have approximately 30 cars a day that travel Abbey Road in and out. If Abbey Road were to be open, we understand that there's an expected traffic increase of 2,000 cars a day to go through there. We'll effectively become the new shortcut. That number is 90% of the driving force as to why we oppose this annexation of the street. This would significantly impact all the lives along Abbey Road and the adjoining streets, both physically, emotionally, and economically, as many of us have enjoyed living there for over 30 years. This isn't PH, nor is it East Avenue, where we only have egress off of Abbey onto two roads that lead to Highway 35 and OT. Abbey Road from East Avenue should not have been designed to give it the potential to carry a large volume traffic through two residential neighborhoods. The apartment complexes on the city side are just as impacted by this number as we are. The number of approximately 2,000 also figures not just the residential safety problem, but also a problem for the attached industrial park. The 90-degree corner at the end of Abbey Road in front of PTM is dangerous for the current residents, as it'll be even harder for traffic to flow through there, even if the road is expanded another 6 feet. This is a terrible corner. The large volume of traffic will be traveling in both ways. The corner at OT and Commerce and the congestion problems it will cause can be more accurately assessed by the La Crosse County Highway Commissioner. We're not naive about the eventual and future annexation of the city of Onalaska. We just ask that you consider the future and honor the agreements that are in place. Does the city want does the city want to eventually annex a parcel that's so blighted by traffic that its tax base is eroded? Or a subdivision that's populated with affordable homes that are family safe and friendly to the neighborhood? Thank you for your time today.
Could I just, PTM, what's that stand for?
Precision Technology.
Okay.
It's a tool and die company on.
Okay, I'll look
corner-
it up, but okay, thank you.
You bet.
Good evening, everyone. Chris Reister, nice to see you, Mr. Chilton, again. Met you through Paul Hosh before you became mayor. So, I live at W6746 Strawberry Road, which is an intersecting road to Abbey Road. I'm concluding the trifecta of the three of us speaking this. I'm going to give you some bullet points that's to make it real simple, to make everybody understand, because I know it's a lot of information. These are our concerns we have. The traffic volume, substantial residential impact, hazardous, creates a fear of long time and new families currently residing. This is very high traffic count for this road. That's a safety issue. Close, constant noise from 30 cars a day of up to 2,000 cars a day. Imagine that. That's a safety issue. Speed of travel through a residential road creates a high risk for a tragedy and or accidents. Visitors and transient drivers unknown to the road. Safety issue. Let's talk about loss of property value. Verified by some of the resident realtors, 15 to 20,000 per property on Abbey and 5 to 10 loss on feeder streets from Abbey. Okay. Children at play throughout the entire Strawberry Commons, many on foot, bikes, and scooters. Another safety issue. Existing boundary agreement that was previously mentioned keeps the road closed, allowing no entry by any vehicle at the end of Abbey Road. People can still enjoy this road by many other means, but no vehicles. Little leagues, will they continue to play ball here? Where will the parents park to watch their kids play ball? Majority vote. No residents as of today, and only 2 businesses agreed to add a different water source to their facility. That's what we know as of today. Cost. That's the unknown at this point, isn't it? Road, water, sewer, sidewalks, electrical, communication, plumbing, excavating, finishing, upkeep and maintenance, plowing, trash pickup, voting. The list continues. Who's going to pay for that? Let me talk about real quick the long history of Strawberry Commons. Many years of residences, new families, minimal crime, Onalaska School District taxpayers, a nice quiet neighborhood to live in. Homes in Strawberry Commons typically sell pretty fast. A strong want to live there, bringing economic value, bringing in young new families, want safety, quiet, want friendly neighbors. They want no worries, just like in the city. Most importantly, the safety impact, as I've mentioned many times. Families with young children, the PTM corner, the OT corner, the park with a playground, the S-curve between Strawberry and Cloverdale, the heavy impact and congestion at Commerce and OT. Again, up to 2,000 cars a day creates a danger. Human nature. This is my last point. It is, and you can quote me on this, this is truly a terrible known phenomenon that in most situations, not all, but some decisions can be overlooked and the right thing to do is not accomplished, resulting in a tragedy that, if done differently, could have been saved. We kindly ask the Commission today to consider all of our aspects of our concerns and to thoroughly investigate every means possible to honor our
3
request and
minutes.
to know that there are options. There are many valid reasons why townships, towns, villages, and cities thrive to exist. We all consider them home. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else would, okay.
My name is Dick McGarry. I live at 1220 County Road, PH. We're talking about Bronston's appeal for changing his zoning. This piece of property and surrounding land has quite a history. When we bought our house in December 1976, it was zoned agriculture and was part of the town of Madera. In 1980, La Crosse County Board changed the zoning of this property and surrounding land to R1 residential at the request of the residents living there. In 1981, after the neighborhood was annexed to the city of La Crosse, Onalaska, the city council has supported not changing the zoning order to protect the integrity of the residential neighborhood. 1982, the City of Onalaska Planned Commercial Development Code was developed with attention to maintaining the integrity of neighborhoods. 1992, AIG Properties approached the neighbors with offers to buy properties for commercial development, Sam's Club. This fell through when Festival Foods allowed them to build at their present site. 1994, comprehensive plan for the city of Onalaska was developed and designated this property as R1 and noted a goal of reducing traffic disruptive to the residential neighborhood. Along with the nearby commercial development along Highway 16 came traffic issues along County Road PH. 1995, Commonweal Development wanted to purchase this property and surrounding land residences for a commercial development, which fell through due to many reasons. 1998, conditional use permit was granted for the building of River of Life Church on the land zoned R1. 1991, Walgreens requested rezoning of 1202 PH, which was denied. 2000, the comprehensive plan was updated and property and surrounding land maintained its designation of R1. 2001, First Federal requested rezoning of 1202, which was denied. 2002, Dr. Leo Bronston requested rezoning of 1202 County Road PH to transitional commercial with a conditional use permit for a clinic as a coffee shop, which was granted. 2004, Dr. Bronston purchased 1204 County Road PH and paved it for a parking lot. 2015, the comprehensive plan was updated and this property and surrounding land maintained its designation of R1. 2018, Dr. Bronson is now requesting the rezoning of 1202 present to clinics and coffee shop from TC to B1. 1204 County Road PH from R1 to B1, and a portion of 1214 County Road PH from R1 to B1 for the purpose of accommodating an expansion of his clinic and an interested food service business.
3 minutes.
Right on dot. Thank you.
everybody. My name is Julie McGarry, and I live at 1220 County Road, PH. As my husband just went through a litany, and there were many other little rezoning requests in there, but the city has always supported our efforts to keep the integrity of the neighborhood there. We realize there's a lot of commercial development out there, and there's potential for more in various areas, but we feel that with Dr. Bronston's request for rezoning 1202, 12, which is transitional commercial with conditional use permits, 1204, which is R1, and part of the 1214, which is R1, to B1, neighborhood business, is not necessary. He can, if he rezones to traditional commercial with conditional use permits, he can do everything he wants to do, okay? Okay, I'll try. A TC with conditional use permit would allow both a clinic and food service business and would give residents in the neighborhood some reassurance that plans wouldn't change to allow businesses more disruptive to a neighborhood setting. And if you, please take the time to compare the uses for TC and its conditional uses to B1. There's a big difference in some of it. Also, B1 zoning has no aesthetic standards, landscaping criteria, and has minimum setbacks when compared to TC zoning. It's really interesting to see what landscaping criteria is involved, and we really and setbacks. We really appreciate the fact that Dr. Bronston took time to meet with some of the neighbors. Many of us could not be there because we were out of town, but we appreciate that, and for him to explain what he's planning to put in there. But from what I was told, he apparently said that TC with conditional use permits was too restrictive. So that raises a concern on what else is going to be planned in the future. Dr. Bronston has said he has had an engineer reconfigure the parking lot at 1204 into a driveway to accommodate more traffic and delivery trucks. Another concern, which I think was already mentioned. Traffic is a big problem along PH, especially so close to Jansen Place and Highway 157. This would add additional truck and patron traffic near an already troublesome intersection. There are times, especially during the holidays, when we have a very difficult time getting out of our own driveway.
3 minutes.
Okay. Anyways, we hope you will consider not rezoning it B1.
Thank you. Ma'am, could you sign in, please? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Irons. I live at N5469 Abbey Road in Onalaska. In 2017, my family and I set out to purchase our forever home. We finally found it on a quiet, dead-end road. We were thrilled to find the neighborhood to be so quiet and family-oriented. The fact that we could safely take our 4-year-old son across the dead-end road to the park sealed the deal on our home purchase. At the time of the purchase, our realtor did not notify us of any historical applications to the annex of Abbey Road. We were later informed by a neighbor who told us of the historical annexation proposal and that it was lawfully held to a 10-year contract, meaning there was legally no possibility that Abbey Road could be a through street until 2025. Quick Trip desires to interfere with the entire subdivision, all for a car wash. Quick Trip's mission statement and core values contradict their application to annex Abbey Road. Making Abbey Road a through street will surely make a difference in my life, as it will cause a great deal of devastation to our family. Quick Trip will not stand true to its values if they annex Abbey Road. This is not about a car wash after all. This is about the revenue for the apartment complexes on the other end of Abbey. Let's be real. Quick Trip is holding revenue over our children's safety and well-being of our community. The financial impact that this has on our lives will utterly be devastating. We did not just purchase our home, but what we also purchased encompassed the entire lawn. We had to pay for every single square foot of our grass, not to mention the underground sprinkler system surrounding our property line. If the road is annexed, we would not only have to pay for the sprinkler system to be moved, but we would also be forced to lose a large portion of our lawn. Even if we are not required to spend thousands of dollars hooking up to the city's sewer and water, we would pay the consequences in property taxes to the town of Onalaska. Not to mention the impact that this will endure if we desire to sell our home. We would no longer be selling our quiet, family-friendly home, but we would be selling a home on a potentially dangerous corner. Our home would now become less desirable and virtually impossible to sell to a young, growing family. Therefore, we would lose thousands of dollars in what we thought was a great investment. If you've ever driven down Abbey Road behind Quick Trip, you have driven around the corner near Hedgehog ATV. This is a dangerous corner already. I cannot imagine how this would look if there was an influx in traffic. Valley Cartage has trucks backing in and out just feet from that corner. This is already an unsafe area, but well managed with the minimal amount of traffic. There is currently not much transient traffic on Abbey Road, although
3
if
minutes.
this was a through road, the accidents would be inevitable. I fear for my child as he would no longer be able to play in our front yard. I feel my child as his bedroom window is now positioned outside of a busy road. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to give public input?
Good evening. I'm Katie Wood, and I live at W6775 Strawberry Road, and I have no prepared remarks tonight. But what I want to tell you about is why we bought out there. We bought out there to raise our 3 children, and they had the opportunity to enjoy that park at the bottom of Strawberry Road and Abbey Road. Today, if I were to allow my grandchildren to get on a bicycle and drive down that hill to that park, I would not be comfortable. With the additional traffic that they're talking about, by opening up that road, it's going to be a huge safety issue, and it's something that people need to consider. I'm also a realtor. I've been in the business for 35 years. And as I look at what might happen to those houses down at that end of the road, it's going to be a travesty to them as to what it's going to cost them if we ever do have to put in city sewer, have that road annexed. So I really would kindly ask you all to please oppose this request by Quick Trip to annex that road. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to give public input?
Good evening. I'm Leo Bronston. I live at 163 East Larkspur Lane in Onalaska, Wisconsin. And I'm the one that had petitioned the city or planning to rezone portions of the County Road PH to Bronson Clinic building. I want to clarify a few things. The amount of square footage that we're adding to this site is not significant enough to cause much of a change for the neighbors. It's a small impact is further minimized by the fact that consumers will be turning into my site before they reach any of the neighboring properties because they're further away from Highway 57 on PH. And most importantly, I'm creating a better flow through the site by widening the front drive aisle, adding a second drive aisle, and entrance through the lot where a garage is currently located, and by creating a loop around both sites. These factors combine to be more than enough to ensure that the traffic for the new building will have ample infrastructure to flow smoothly. The house burned down next to my clinic there. I purchased an empty lot. I didn't purchase a house. I took and I went ahead and created tasteful landscaping and created a community garden that served those in need. and that was through the Onalaska School District, and Jody Viskers who helped with that. There's also rezoning concerns. Transitional commercial and B1 commercial are very similar, as you know. Both allow retail stores, professional services, and financial institutions, which are likely the types of businesses to lease space here. One of the main goals of this project is for me to have a clinic in the new building as well, which is only part of the B1 district. The uses that neighbors may take issue with in B1 are probably unlikely and would be argued that TC has several allowed uses that would garner just as much opposition. TC and B1 have more differences in terms of setbacks and building coverage, and with my current site plan, the project will still be well within the TC back and front yard and building coverage rules anyways. So I would hope that you consider my entire current building has been a positive impact on the area. And the architectural improvements that I'll put into that neighborhood is just going to create more of a community feel for the city of Onalaska. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to give public input? Second call. Anyone wishing to give public input? Third and final call. Anyone wishing to give public input? That portion is now closed. We'll move on with the agenda. Consideration and possible action on the following items. A public hearing. Consideration of a rezoning request filed by Hans Zitlow of Luther High School Association, 1830 Alpine Place, Onalaska, 54650, on behalf of Marvin and Michelle Wanders of Cedar Hill Multifamily Properties, LLC, 1243 Badger Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin, 54601, to rezone a parcel from multifamily residential district, R4, to public and semi-public district, P1, for the purpose of constructing tennis courts at 601 through 615 13th Avenue South, Onalaska. Tax parcel number 18-1756-0. Katie?
Thank you. The properties within 250 feet of those in question include a variety of residential dwellings, including single-family homes, attached townhomes, apartment buildings, and a private high school. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as mixed-density residential, which is intended for residential units, and also institutional uses, in addition to senior housing and services, are also appropriate in this district with proper zoning controls. The applicant has a conditional offer on the parcel in question and intend to construct tennis courts on this parcel in the future. Later, upon finalization of the rezoning, if approved, they intend to merge that parcel with the overall Luther High School parcel, which is currently zoned public and semi-public, where tennis courts are a permitted park use. As a public hearing will be held, testimony should be considered before deciding on the rezoning application. City staff have put together 7 conditions of approval tied to this development.
Thank you. I will open the public hearing. All those wishing to speak in favor?
Hello, my name is Hans Zitlow, and it's 1830 Alpine Place, and very happy to represent Luther High School, where my children went to school, for this rezoning for tennis courts. I think everybody in the neighborhood is going to be happy with this, and just wanted to introduce myself to you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Mayor, everyone. My name is John Sagan. I'm here with my wife, Kathleen. We own the property directly across from the said parcel. I've met with one of the representatives from Luther. listened to their plans. I've worked with some of the other people over at Luther. They're a good group of people to work with, and we are in favor of the tennis courts. We have no objection to it. And for what it's worth, I talked to my neighbor on the immediate west of my property that's involved in this, and the piece of property immediately adjacent to me on the south, and the one next to that, and they're all in favor of it. So, what it's worth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Senna. I live right next door to the parcel in question. My mother and I reside there. My mother owns the house at 617 13th Avenue South, and we are in favor of it. We've had no trouble with people from Luther High School. They've been very nice to us. They're literally in our backyard, and our only concerns are fairly minor, as far as like in the evening, if there's any particular problems with people, staying too long or, making noise, whatever. Like I said, those concerns are minor, but overall, we're quite in favor. We have no objection. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, would you please? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Second call, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in favor? That portion is now closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition? Second call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. The public hearing is now closed. What is the wish of the commission?
Motion to approve the rezoning request with the 7 conditions as noted.
Second.
Motion made by Craig, seconded by Jim to approve the request for the tennis courts with the 7 conditions. Discussion.
I've got 2 questions for the gentleman from Luther. Just wondering if the courts will be publicly available when not in use by Luther High School students, like for physical education classes or tennis matches, if the general public can use the courts? And secondly, if the courts will be lighted?
Please identify yourself when you come to the mic. Thank you.
My name is Mark Ross. I live at 1950 Pine Ridge Drive, Onalaska. I also teach and coach tennis at Luther High School. Okay. Yes, I would definitely encourage and welcome public use when we're not using them. And right now, I don't see any need for lights on those courts.
Thank you. Katie.
I would like to note that in recent contact with the engineering firm for this, they were asked to show empty conduit for the potential for future lighting. I'm told they're not intending to do it now, but there is the potential. I would like to note that they will need to go through site plan review, which will have review by city staff. And if lighting is proposed at that time, they will have to meet all of city standards, just for your information.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 6, public hearing. Consideration of rezoning request filed by Leo Bronsted, 1202 County Road, PH, Suite 100, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650. And on behalf of River Life Assembly of God, Inc., 1214 County Road, PH, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, to a parcel from TC Traditional Commercial District to B1 Neighborhood Business District, and a portion of the parcel from R1 Single Family Residence to Neighborhood Business B1 to facilitate the construction of a new commercial development on the properties located at 1204 County Road, PH, and 1214 County Road, PH, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, tax parcels 18-3544-0 and 18-3542-0. Katie.
Thank you. There are two existing zonings for this particular project. Transitional commercial, which is Dr. Bronston's property today, and also 1214 County Road, PH, which is the River of Life property, which is currently zoned single-family residential. Properties within 250 feet of those in question include single-family residences, church, and commercial businesses. The comprehensive plan identifies this area for commercial. This district is intended to accommodate a large and small-scale commercial and office development, allowing a wide range of retail, service, lodging, and office units would be appropriate in this district. The primary applicant, Dr. Leo Bronston, owns the property at 1204 County Road, PH, and has a conditional offer to purchase approximately 1.3 acres from River of Life Assembly of God Incorporated, which is directly adjacent to his commercial property. Property at 1204 County Road, PH, as mentioned, is transitional commercial, and River of Life is single-family residential. The purpose of this request is to rezone 1204 County Road, PH, and a portion of 1214 County Road, PH to neighborhood business, which is otherwise known as B1, where current and proposed uses are outright permitted, including office, restaurant, coffee shop, personal service, and medical-related services. The remainder of the River of Life Assembly of God Church would continue on as single-family residential. That would not be changed as part of this request this evening. To note, a following agenda item does address the required certified survey map, as parcel boundaries would be modified as part of this. And before parcels can be merged and redrawn, they have to have the same zoning, which is another one of the reasons why this has come forward tonight. As a public hearing would be held, testimony from the public should be considered before deciding on the requesting rezoning application. Staff have put together 5 conditions of approval tied to this development.
Thank you. I will open a public hearing. Those wishing to speak in favor. Second call. Those wishing to speak in favor. Third and final call. Those wishing to speak in favor. That portion is now closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition. Yes.
Area, 1220 County Road, PH. We feel that Dr. Bronston has done a nice job with his
Thank you.
with his clinic and the Caribou Coffee Shop. And it's not that we're terribly opposed to him expanding his clinic or that he bring in another food business. It's just we're concerned with the type of zoning, because he could do it with the TC conditional uses. B1 would allow a bar to be put in there at some future date, or a club of some sort, a motel or hotel, those types of things that we are a little concerned about. Because if a change would happen, if he would decide to vacate the property, which I don't think he is, or if he would sell some of it, once it's zoned that way, without conditional use criteria, it could change, another business that would not be as conducive to a neighborhood business could possibly move in. And we have concerns also about parking spaces, increased water runoff. We have an issue with that with the parking lot at the church already. Lot lighting and it coming back into the neighborhood, signs, noise, and late business hours. And what's to prevent additional zoning of the church land that will remain R1, rezoning of that land, and increase the encroachment on the neighborhood also, once we let B1 in the door. This is not reflected in the comprehensive plan that area is to be R1. Many people have lived in this neighborhood for decades and have invested in improving the value of their homes. Commercial encroachment brings concerns about future property values. And again, just please consider denying the B1 zoning and perhaps at some time considering TC with conditional use permits. Thank you very much.
Second call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? That portion is now closed. The public hearing is closed. What is the wish of the commission?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend that we not make any proposals at this time and move this on to the city council for further discussion.
So am I hearing you correctly, moving it on with no recommendation? Okay. There's been a motion to move this forward without recommendation. Is there a second? Again, is there a second?
For discussion purposes, I'll second that.
Okay. So there's a motion made by Jim, seconded by Craig, to move it on without recommendation. Craig?
Jim, I guess I've kind of gone on record before that this stuff comes to the Plan Commission. I like to believe that the Common Council relies on us for a recommendation, and they always have the opportunity to approve that, reverse that, do something different. I'm wondering why we would consider not making some type of a recommendation at this point.
Well, you and I both sit on the subcommittee, and we discussed this at the subcommittee, and we recognize that there are traffic problems in that area. And the road that's directly across from the clinic and the Caribou Coffee is owned, or is basically owned by the city of La Crosse. So that compounds the problem of trying to do something with the traffic in that area, and I'm not really sure what the intentions are for the property that's going to be or what the use of that property is going to be and the traffic flow that's going to be through there. I agree with the residents, since I go through that area too on occasion, that it can be difficult to make left turns and move along traffic. Again, with the city of La Crosse owning that other street, it does make it different for a decent traffic flow, and I think any further business in that area, although I'm not opposed to business, may create some traffic problems for the neighborhood that is already there. So unless I have a real good idea what the traffic flow is going to be and exactly what the businesses are going to be in that area, I think it's up to the council to decide, because as Ron had previously stated, it's going to be pulled off the consent agenda anyway, should we move it along.
The only comment I would make is I brought up that exact issue, as you know, at subcommittee. Jared, your thoughts on the traffic situation again? I know we talked about this at subcommittee.
Yeah, so when you look at that area, obviously I live in that area also, so I travel through there quite a bit.
When you look at that area, you know, 157 and PH is a very congested intersection. It's in the top 10 list for the county for traffic incidents, accidents that occur in that area. When you move up toward Jansen Place, and as has been pointed out, that Jansen Place is a city La Crosse street, the actual City of Onalaska city limit line does not start until you proceed just past that right-of-way for that. So when you're actually, where the vehicles are actually turning out there, you're actually in the city of La Crosse, and that street is actually maintained by La Crosse County. They actually have maintenance authority on that little stretch there of roadway between 157 and where our city limit line is. We could require the developer to do a traffic impact analysis. That is within our purview to make them do that. When I look at this intersection in this area, when we do that traffic impact analysis, typically we try to get a consultant to help us with traffic items, because we don't do a lot of traffic items in the city, but obviously having knowledge of the process that the consultant follows and things such as that. They will look at the use that's in that building, or what it's zoned for, what it could go in as, and what's most likely to go in that property. So obviously there's certain functions that you need enough square footage, things like that, that would bring that about. I think once you look at those traffic impacts for what the size of the building is and the size of the site, you're going to look at what the traffic that's going on PH and coming off of Jansen Place and find out that it's going to be a certain level of service whether that building goes in or not. I think it's not, from a traffic impact analysis, it's not going to have a large effect on showing that there's going to be a difference. Now, if you keep rezoning pieces going in, obviously cumulatively, you'll have an effect. The addition of the drive-through to the coffee shop will have a small effect, because you'll have more traffic at peak times, probably going in there to use those services. But those numbers of vehicles in comparison to the traffic turning off of Jansen Place and going in to the Quick Trip, to the Petco, PetSmart, all those businesses there, I think is going to be somewhat overriding in that area. I also, one thing, it does impact the neighbor that spoke tonight, because that neighbor does live across the street from the proposed driveway that is shown in the site plan. But I actually think there's going to be people going in and turning left into the development past where into the City of Onalaska section, where the roadway is constricted as a traffic calming measure. And I think that will be a new spot where people will go in and you won't see as many left turns into the existing driveway. I think that's going to be brought out if you would do a traffic impact analysis. Probably what would have to happen if this development went in and we found that there was a lot of left turns in that driveway, we would probably stripe some sort of left turn lane in that area for that driveway up to the first, I don't know where exactly that speed table is at in there, but it'd be somewhere in that vicinity, up to, and obviously up to the driveway. So I guess that's a long answer for a question, but I think the overarching volumes of traffic are going to dictate our service levels here, and what you're, if you come in with a very high usage business that had a lot of traffic to it, say another Quick Trip wanted to go in over here, you would have enough traffic that it would have an overarching difference. But I guess where we're at today, without doing a full traffic impact analysis, that's what I'd offer.
Thanks, Jared, that's important.
Anyone else? Jan?
One of the things that bothered me was that this possible B1 zoning could be a bar. Is that true? Yes?
A bar or club is an outright permitted use in that district.
In the B1 zoning? So I was just wondering, is there a reason for asking, or would the TC zoning be amenable with the conditional use permit, or is it definite that you would like B1?
Is that to the applicant?
Yeah, can I ask Dr. Bronson that? Would the TC zoning be okay to, I know that they mentioned the bar could go in the B1, and I'm concerned with that in that area.
Well, I have no plans for a bar. It's a 6,000 square foot building. Right now, across the street, that's commercial. I could put a bar anywhere over there. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel that right now I had to do conditional use permits to get a coffee shop and a clinic. We're going to probably have expanded clinic services there, and then we'd have to come back for another conditional use permit, and it just, from the master plan, and that just makes more sense to make it B1 at this point. So that's what's been proposed, and that's
What you're
what
asking
I
for.
would like, yes.
I understand that. Still.
Paul?
Jared, just so I'm clear, the section of Highway PH from Highway 157 up to the entrances to the west and east, is that City of La Crosse Street?
It is actually maintained, and the maintenance authority is La Crosse County. They have maintenance authority from the state highway to our city limit line, which is at the constriction of the road, just past to the north of the Jansen Place and the driveway into the Bronson property currently. So it's in the city of La Crosse, but La Crosse County is the maintaining authority.
Okay, but City of La Crosse has no, or City of Onalaska has no ability to do anything with that?
Not without working, we'd have to work with La Crosse County on that
Okay.
section of roadway, correct?
Okay.
Anyone else? No? Oh, okay. So we have a, Jan? You okay? Okay. We have a motion on the floor. And the motion is to approve. No. Oh, to move it forward without recommendation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Can I get a roll call vote?
Pardon me?
Can I get a roll call vote? I need to know where we're.
Sure.
Paul Gleason,
Nay.
Jan Brock,
Nay.
Jared Holter,
Aye.
Jim Benash,
Aye.
Mayor Chilson,
Aye.
Craig Brightsprecher,
Nay.
Stephen Knott.
Nay.
Fails.
The motion fails.
Motion fails. Okay.
Is there any other motion that would?
Pardon me? Yeah, is there any other motion?
I'll make a motion to approve with the 5 conditions stated for discussion.
Oh, to approve it now.
To approve it.
Okay. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll make a second, just so we can talk about this a bit more.
Okay, so we have a motion by Paul, seconded by Craig, to approve the, with the 5 conditions. Approve the rezoning request with the 5 conditions. Somebody want to talk about it, or?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Dr. Bronston, if I could borrow you for a minute. Thank you for your patience.
Hockey season's over, so I got a lot of patience. Go ahead.
What problem exactly, and I want to kind of boil down or narrow down the specifics here. What kind of a problem would you have with a transitional commercial type designation? I know it limits you in a couple respects, but it sounds like that's not your intent to go with a full B1 zoning type allowance anyhow. Would it make sense to, even though it's a little bit more limiting, to do a transitional commercial zone here?
Well, right now I'm in transitional commercial, and then I had to get conditional use permits for a clinic, and I had to get conditional use permit for the coffee shop. And it's obviously, when you're going out and you're trying to get some leases, it becomes difficult to fill space, and as you know how much there's a lot of empty space. Not that that should matter as much, but the issue really comes down to architecturally, I've done a great job with what I have. I'm putting a 6,000 square foot building. It's small. It's not very big. I'm not developing the whole site, nor do I have any plans to do that. Going to make better ingress and egress out of that site. Fits the motif of the neighborhood. And I think that, and B1 does fit into that master plan. Across the street, they have the same type of zoning, and a bar could go in there any day too. I mean, it's just sort of restrictive to me in a way that doesn't make sense from the scheme of the whole area.
Colonel?
So, first off, I want to applaud you because it sounds like you have a good relationship with the local residential area, from what we've heard here at least anyway. I guess my question is isn't a transitional commercial a small cost, if you will, I mean, with conditional use permits to maintain that? My concern I have is a gradual growth or mission creep, if you will, of the commercial zoning in that area. I think it's kind of been mentioned once before too, you know, that where does it stop? And whenever we have a issue where it involves residential areas that were pre-existing, I like to put myself into that shoe of, well, what if it was my backyard and I was there in a pre-existing residential area? I am still not seeing what the big issue is with going with a TC, which the residents who have shown up to voice their concerns seem to be okay with, versus a B1, when, again, as was mentioned, you can really accomplish everything you want with a TC.
Is that? Okay, I'm going, okay, then I'm going to call on myself. Okay.
Well, first of all, I think the site plan is great, and I think it will be a big improvement to the traffic flow. So from that standpoint, I think it's a big plus. I agree with Jared intuitively. The increase in traffic will be probably not noticed at all. But I have the same concerns about going all the way to B1 as opposed to transitional commercial. TC, this is the kind of situation that TC was, I think, designed for. It's a transitional area. You have R1 on the north and the northwest. So I guess I have the same concerns. I'm not sure that I could support B1, but I believe I could transitional commercial.
Done?
Done.
Okay. I feel the same way. I voted the first time because I think that the entire council should take this issue up. But I can support TC, but I'm not so sure I want to go all the way to B1. I think conditional use permits are there for a reason, and I think this is precisely the reason that they're there. So I certainly could support a TC, but I'm not so sure I want to go all the way to B1.
I'd just like to add my 2 cents worth that I made the motion because I think it's our responsibility to address it here. If it's on our agenda, we should address it, right, and not simply pass the buck. And that's
right. And I'm not saying we're passing the buck. I mean, we can send it on with recommendation.
And the council has every right to make a different decision than we do.
Exactly. So. Exactly. The council can put it back on the agenda. You know, if two council members ask to have that happen, so, but you know, the plan commission, the council, that's why everything is a subcommittee of the council, is so that the council can get some guidance. And I would like the entire council to look at this, and like I said, I can support TC. I don't know if I can I can't go all the way to B1. Jan?
I'm
sorry.
Hearing Dr. Bronson's concerns about every time he does business, he has to have a conditional use permit, I'll play devil's advocate. What if we were to rezone it to B1? Is it possible to exclude? I'm asking this question. Is it possible to exclude B1, some B1 things, like a bar or something else? I don't know. I'm just asking that.
I don't believe so.
I don't know. I don't think we've ever done that. To rezone it to something but exclude ABC.
No, I don't, you can't cherry pick.
No, we can't. Okay.
No. Not until we vote this up or down.
Just so I'm,
I don't want to interrupt you.
just so I'm clear on the alternatives, we've got a motion to approve as B1 currently. We can vote on that, and it either is approved or not approved. If it's not approved, Dr. Bronston cannot bring back a rezoning petition for some, wasn't there a one-year time frame that you're not allowed to bring in another petition?
I will check.
That's always been my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I don't think we have the authority to change, to substitute TC and approve that if Dr. Bronston doesn't want that to happen. So we either vote on the B1 or I withdraw my motion at this point after we've discussed it and let it go to the council.
If I may.
Jim?
I would be remiss in my duty as an alderperson if I didn't mention about what goes on in the residents and how they feel about businesses that coexist with them. So for that reason, that's why I brought up the idea of no recommendation so that we could discuss it at the city council. I'm not opposed to moving this from a B1 to a TC, but again, I want to make sure that the residences in that area are pleased with that particular move because they do live there and they're the ones that have to put up with any increased traffic that would flow there, so.
We're waiting
Mayor?
for a legal opinion. Go ahead.
I think we also need to be realistic in that this area is going commercial. And it has sat still for quite a while, but inevitably, I believe, it will become a commercial area. And do we stymie what I think is a nice development simply in order to do nothing and defer but not ultimately prevent conversion to commercial for that site and eventually more of that area?
Katie?
So in reviewing it, the Common Council would have to deny. And then you are correct in terms it would be a 1 year that he could apply for B1 again.
Right.
However, if he changed to transitional commercial, he would not have to wait 1 year because it's a
Okay.
different application. The issue is that the timeline ends up getting kicked further out. A rezoning typically takes 4 to 5 months. The next application deadline is tomorrow. So if the Common Council denied it, then he wouldn't be able to apply until the following review cycle plus the next 4 months. So it essentially would add about 2 months to the review timeline to go from transitional commercial to review a new app,
Mayor?
if the Common Council denied it.
Okay.
At this point, I'm going to withdraw my motion to approve,
And my second?
and I will make a motion to send it forward with no recommendation. I think that gives Dr. Bronston time to consider whether TC is acceptable or not, and leave it in the hands of the council.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made by Paul and seconded by Craig to send it forward to the council without recommendation. Discussion.
Isn't this what we just discussed with a motion from Jim earlier?
We certainly did.
It is, but we got it out and had a discussion on it, on what the options were, which we had not done previously.
Can you clarify if they can vote on the same motion twice? They're basically making the same motion they originally made?
It would have to come back as a reconsideration. So, first of all, we have to have a motion to reconsider.
To reconsider the first motion?
To reconsider the first denial, yes. That's parliamentary procedure.
So I'll make a motion that we reconsider Alderman Banash's initial motion.
My second.
Okay. Motion to reconsider by Paul, seconded by Craig. That's a roll call vote.
Mayor Joe Chilson?
Yes.
Jim Benash?
Aye.
Jared Holter?
Aye.
Jan Brock?
Yes.
Paul Gleason?
Aye.
Craig Brightsprecher?
Aye.
Stephen Knott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Now we can consider the moving it forward. But we need a motion now. Or, no, it's reconsidered already. So, all in favor of moving it forward without recommendation, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay? Abstentions? It's moved forward without recommendation. Okay. That's this one, okay. Item 7, public hearing. Consideration of conditional use permit request filed. Did you file some? Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was right. Conditional use permit request filed by Jim Benash, 700 Westwood Drive, Onalaska, Wisconsin, on behalf of the American Legion Post 336, 731 Sand Lake Road, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, to install an electronic message center sign 75 feet from a residential parcel line at 731 Sand Lake Road, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650. Tax parcel number 18-699-0. Katie?
Thank you. This conditional use permit request pertains to allowing an electronic message center sign to be constructed closer than 100 feet from a residential property line at the American Legion. The applicant is proposing to install the sign a minimum of 75 feet from residential property lines and remove the existing freestanding sign located at the entrance to this property off of Sand Lake Road. The residential properties in question are located across the street from the new sign and would be separated by Sand Lake Road, in addition to the sign being installed a minimum of 5 feet setback from the property line, which is the backside of the sidewalk at this location. Currently, the existing sign is non-conforming as it is not set back appropriately from the property line. The proposed electronic message center portion of the sign will be approximately 24 feet per side, which is less than the maximum of a 32 square foot that one could put at this location. This conditional use permit is permitted only by the approval by the Plan Commission of 13625 parent 2F1 and pursuant to the standards set forth in sections 13-8-11. The following criteria were used when reviewing the submitted conditional use permit application. Compatibility. The sign would be located on the western side of Sand Lake Road on a property zoned community business B2. The city code allows these electronic message center signs to be installed at less than 100 feet if a conditional use permit is issued. The intent is to replace, again, the existing freestanding sign with a smaller, more aesthetically pleasing sign. We do have an attached rendering in the packet. Land within 250 feet of this location includes neighborhood business, community business, and single-family and/or duplex residential zone property. We looked at consistency with the comprehensive plan. This area is identified as mixed-use district smart growth areas intended to accommodate complementary land uses, including housing, retail, offices, commercial services, and civic uses in an efficient, compact development. The next standard was the importance of services to the community. According to the comprehensive plan, a land use objective states to ensure that all development along and visible from major transportation corridors, like Sand Lake Road, present an inviting image to the city of Onalaska and region through high-quality building and site design. The American Legion Post number 336 is a nonprofit entity that benefits veterans and offers community services including sponsorships, youth scholarships, and provides event space for the general public. Further, they also host the Onalaska Food Basket. This sign would allow the American Legion to better promote community services and events at their location. We also look at neighborhood protections. According to the applicant, the proposed development of allowing an electronic message center sign should not negatively impact neighbors as the proposed sign is smaller, set back further from the sidewalk, and will improve sight lines and visibility while entering and leaving the property. The Legion will also have to adhere to the standards for the new electronic message center signs concerning brightness, hours of operation, as set forth in our new sign ordinance. As a public hearing will be held, opinions should be considered before deciding on the project. Staff have put together 4 conditions of approval for this development.
Okay. So I will open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak in favor?
I'm Bob Weber, First Vice Commander of the Legion. I'm the one heading this project, and I represent the Legion at 731 Sand Lake Road. I've been working on this for 3 years to get the body to approve it. If you were there, Mr. Mayor, I hope you would have approved it. So anyway, we wanted to make our property look better, get rid of the old sign. It's really an eyesore. I'm the one that's going to put all the stuff up, and it gets to really be a pain in the wintertime crawling on a ladder if I have to. And I think it enhanced the look of the property in the area. And according to our La Crosse Sign Company where we're dealing with, we can set it, the brightness to adhere to the statures. And again, we'll have availability for anybody who wants to request to use our sign for advertisement other than our own stuff in the area, that we have no problem with that. And it would be all done by electronically from inside by computer systems. We can have stuff put it up there for months on end, come on, go off when it's needed. So I just think it'd add value to our property, and we'd look a lot nicer than what we got. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. No, I said thank you. I'm sorry. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Second call, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in favor? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition. Second call, those wishing to speak in opposition. Third and final call, those wishing to speak in opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. The public hearing is now closed. What is the wish of the commission?
I'll make a motion, we approve with the 4 conditions as stated.
Okay, motion made by Paul,
Second the motion.
second by Jared, to approve the conditional use permit filed by the American Legion Post 336 with the 4 conditions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oops, what? Oh, discussion.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. One, we would not be advertising for other businesses. That's against the ordinance, so we won't be doing that. And as an officer and a member of the American Legion, I'll have to recuse myself, but the sign itself that's there now is a fluorescent sign, and the one that would be there is digital, and it will be a much more aesthetically pleasing, not only to the neighborhood, but I think in itself it will look a whole lot better, and it shouldn't interfere with anything with any of the residences, so thank you.
Yes.
I'm also going to be recusing myself from this. However, I want to clarify one thing. The brightness levels with this display are not only settable, but independent of that, they will maintain the brightness standards laid down in the ordinances automatically, independent of human intervention.
Okay. Jan, you're not going to recuse yourself, too? You're not going to have anybody left to vote.
No, I just have a question for Craig or Jim. I know it's says 24 square foot, you know, that's 6 by 8. Is there a sign in town that's about that same size that we could sight in on that give us an idea of how big that's going to be? Smaller than the existing sign, but.
Can't think of anything. The Omni Center sign's a little
Well,
bigger.
Quick Trip on Sand Lake would be similar.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay? Anybody else? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Abstentions?
Aye.
Aye.
It's not an abstention, it's a recusal.
Okay.
And I'll tell you guys, talked about that later, so. Okay, item 8. Public hearing, conditional use permit, filed by Nathan Hilmer, Smith Group, JJR, 44 East Mifflin Street, Madison, Wisconsin, 53703, on behalf of Barb and David Scogan, 757 Sand Lake Road, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, for the purpose of constructing an open-air steel-framed park structure at Dash Park, located at 200 Main Street, Onalaska, Wisconsin, 54650, tax parcel number 18-96-1. Katie?
Thank you. The majority of Dash Park was constructed in 2017. An additional property has been purchased by the property owner to expand Dash Park. The adjoining properties are in the process of being rezoned to public and semi-public and intend to be merged with the main parcel once the rezoning process is complete. They would like to construct a shade swing bench structure at Dash Park, which requires a conditional use permit in the P1 district. The following decision criteria were used when reviewing the submitted application. Compatibility. Properties within 250 feet include a variety of residential dwellings, Great River Landing, and commercial properties. Consistency with a comprehensive plan. This area is identified as Downtown Mixed-Use District, which is intended to include the city's mixed-use central business district and have a pedestrian-focused development with a mix of uses including residential, personal service, commercial, institution, and civic uses. Importance of services to the community. According to the applicant, the addition of the structure will further enhance Dash Park as a community asset and a gathering space. This particular structure will be visible from 2nd Avenue South, State Road 35, and may help shape the downtown identity for downtown Onalaska. Neighborhood protections. The property owner will be required to amend the site plan on file for Dash Park and obtain all the necessary permits prior to construction activities commencing. Proposed lighting is intended to be oriented westward and downward to avoid light spill and glare for the neighboring properties. This project is also under review to amend the existing site plan on file. As a public hearing will be held, it should be considered public opinion before deciding on the project. City staff have put together 4 conditions of approval for this development.
Thank you. Okay, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor?
My name is John Young. I'm with Remax First Choice at 757 Sand Lake Road, right next door to where that nice new sign is going up at the American Legion. I'm here to answer any questions you might have for Dave and Barb and for Nathan. If there's any questions, I've got some information here, and I'll try to answer them. Thank you. And I'm very much in favor of getting rid of the spillway bar building over there.
Thank you, John. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in favor? That portion is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Second call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Excuse me. Third and final call, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? That portion is now closed. What is the wish of the commission? Well, the public hearing is now closed. What is the wish of the commission?
Make a motion to approve the conditional use permit request.
Second. Whoops.
I was going to say tax parcel 18-96-1.
With the conditions.
With the 4 conditions.
Okay, motion made by Jim Banash, seconded by Craig Breitspecker to approve the conditional use permit with the 4 conditions. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? So moved. Item 9, review and consideration of an annexation application filed by Quick Trip, Inc., CO Hans, in care of Hans Zitlow, 1626 Oak Street, La Crosse, Wisconsin, 54603, for the properties located at Abbey Road, W6782, Abbey Road and Abbey Road right-of-way. Tax parcels 10-2323-0, 10-2324-0, and 10-2325-0, 6.57 acres. Katie.
Thank you. The existing zoning on this property from the county is commercial. The neighborhood commercial districts includes commercial development, public institutional properties, and also single-family residential along Abbey Road. Conformance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as being within the city's smart growth planning area, which identifies review criteria for annexations, of which the following are applicable. The city should approve proposals for annexation into the city of Onalaska only when meeting the following utilities and community facilities criteria, or if other important community goals are met. The annexation is in an area designated for growth on the city's future land use map. The increased tax base and overall benefit to the city of approving the annexation outweigh the actual financial impact on the community for providing police, fire, road maintenance, and other public improvements and services to the annexation area. The properties at W67, 82 Abbey Road, and Abbey Road would be connected to the city of Onalaska through the annexation of Abbey Road itself, located just north of the city's municipal boundary. The applicant is requesting that the 6.57 acre be annexed into the city of Onalaska. The property is operating on failing infrastructure and would connect to city water and sanitary sewer as soon as available. As the automatic zoning applied to the annexed parcels is single-family residential R1, the applicant intends to immediately request a rezoning to the neighborhood business B1 district, where the use of a gas station and/or car wash facility would be a permitted use. Approval is recommended with the attached conditions of approval. City staff have put together 10 conditions for this particular development.
How many conditions?
There's 10.
10. Okay, you going to show us something, Katie?
We're gonna try to put the map up there to show where the actual annexation boundary is as we move forward.
So the answer is yes, you're going to show us something.
We need a motion yet, Joe, or no?
Pardon me? Okay, what is the wish of the commission?
Make a motion to consider annexation application filed by Quick Trip Incorporated located on Abbey Road.
For discussion purposes, I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Jim Benosh, seconded by Craig Breisbecker, that we consider motion of annexation. Okay, go ahead and ask your question of Jared.
Jared, are you able to focus on two things at the same time?
He's not a Gemini. You need some help? Okay.
Now have the map on the screen. Do you have a specific question, Craig, or you want me just to start?
I was going to ask you probably some of the same types of things that came up in subcommittee is, can you walk through what this means exactly?
Okay, so as with any annexation that comes forward, I'm tasked with looking at adequacy of services and what the city can function with this development. So with this, what you see today, the map that's on the screen, the city limits, City of Onalaska city limits are currently shown in purple on the map. The blue outline cross-checkering is what is the proposed annexation today. So that annexation starts at the existing northerly city limits along Abbey Road, proceeds up Abbey Road all the way over to Commerce Road, and then also includes the Quick Trip facility at Commerce Street. When we looked at this, we looked at the utility aspects of the sanitary sewer and the water main. The sanitary sewer is at a depth that we can extend it up to the intersection of Commerce Road and Abbey Road by the Quick Trip location to give them gravity sewer service. We can also extend the water main up to this location and have adequate fire flows and services for those locations up in that area. As part of this moving forward, if this annexation did occur, the city would have to go through its capital improvements budget to extend city services up to this area through the Abbey Road right-of-way, which would be annexed as part of this annexation. As part of that design and eventual approval, the Board of Public Works would have to go through and approve whatever roadway was designed that was brought forward and to that area. With that, currently we have estimated in this area putting in the water and sewer and a typical city street of a 37-foot wide curb and gutter city street. As part of the design that would have to be approved, we'd have to look at how this street would function, whether there'd be such things as sidewalks, if there would be any traffic calming measures put in, if anything like that would be put in. So, or if the Board of Public Works chose to leave the road closed, that could be an option. As the city engineer, I always advocate for connected streets. I do, obviously I understand the concerns of traffic. I have talked to many of the residents in the last few weeks. I've been in the office, and they are using the numbers that I have given them. It's probably going to be somewhere upwards of almost 2,000 cars a day once you see full development out here on that roadway. I'm relatively certain that there will be over 1,000 cars probably after the first year using that roadway. So with that, you would see increases in traffic. It would allow connectivity to the city street system for people heading south or going north for people. I think when I look at this area from our city traffic engineering standpoint, and I look at East Avenue being a major north-south road, wider road, relatively easy access, straight line. I think most of the people from the south that would be going, proceeding up to OT or Sand Lake Road or Holman would continue on East Avenue. I don't think they would go over to Abbey Road unless their destination was McDonald's, Quick Trip, one of the other businesses in that location that are in that area. But I think it will have a certain amount of traffic, and it will be a definitive difference in the street if that street is open. So from a service standpoint, I think we can get the sewer and water up there. It's been part of our long-range planning from the city's water and sewer standpoint to get that up to that location. I think this area would be, with the future development in the area, with city sewer and water, you know, we will have assessment hearings once we do this. I would envision that the Board of Public Works would move forward with assessment hearings. Those assessments would be deferred to anyone in the township. So at that point that someone would proposed to annex a different parcel, those assessments would become active, so. Kind of an overview, I guess if you have specific questions.
So immediate tax impact would be negligible for the residents of the township.
The city would have to bond monies for the installation of the roadway at the
Right.
city's cost. Correct.
Jim?
It was my understanding, this was brought forth, that we were just going to provide city sewer and water to Quick Trip. Are we now going to think about opening up? I mean, we're not annexing the road itself, are we?
The map that you see up here tonight, everything crosshatched in blue would become part of the city. So the street would become part of the city.
So
If the city,
we would maintain that road up until, all the way up to OT?
we will maintain the roadway that is annexed, which is all in blue tonight on that map. So we will have to maintain the roadway up to Commerce Street. So as part of that, the Board of Public Works will have to make, and Common Council will have to make a decision of what features that roadway if we, because we will have to remove the roadway to put sewer and water in. The sewer starts at about 20 feet deep and it'll be about 10 at the end. So it will be, we'll have to rebuild the road. So then it's a decision of, does the city intend to connect the street? Does the city put back in the current street that is about approximately 30 feet wide, a little bit wider than that in spots, 32 feet wide? So does the city put that back in? Does it bring it up to city standards, put the curb and gutter in, put sidewalks in? What level of street do we put back in at that location?
So if we did remove the street and did not put it back in, that is up to the city, is that correct?
Once the city annexes the road right away, we have maintenance authority on it and it becomes a city street.
So a city street, meaning whether it's paved or unpaved?
Our standard is a paved street.
All right, and we would, is it the intent then to open up Abbey Road all the way? Or is that something that was still discussed?
That's a decision the Board of Public Works and the Common Council will have to make final decision on.
Could we make that one of the conditions and add that to one of the 10 conditions that we have?
What are you trying to add?
That we not open up the Abbey Road all the way until we're certain about what goes on with the rest of the area, what we're going to annex or not.
Council? Oh, yeah.
The only thing we're trying to decide here, if I'm not mistaken, is whether we annex that one strip of land for the purpose of providing services to that facility.
Amanda, will you make sure that you speak into? Okay. Thank you.
So that's all we're charged with deciding tonight. Anything beyond that is in somebody else's purview.
Correct. Deciding to annex the land tonight would not be a decision to open the street.
Colonel?
So there was several individuals who made mention of a 10-year agreement on not having any annexation. I guess I'm too new of a resident, only been here for 2 years to know. Does anyone here have that history? Has there been a 10-year agreement back in the 2000, I think I heard 15 timeframe?
Jared, would you like to handle this, or do you want Amanda to do it?
There is a boundary agreement in place. That is not a correct interpretation of the boundary agreement. There is a boundary agreement in place. It does not state that we cannot annex this property within that 10-year period.
Does it state that the road cannot be opened within that 10-year period?
No, it's silent on the road.
Yes, Paul?
In the instance that we've approved the annexation, does that obligate the city within any period of time to actually install the utilities? Or we would incur some liability to Quick Trip?
The city has typically, when we've